Thank you. Appreciate it. I have my Fitbit on too today, so my wife keeps track of me even when I'm away from the house. So I've got to hit my 10,000 step goal, where she keeps the bedroom door locked. So great. Well, it's very nice to be here with you guys today. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you to Mastery and everybody for hosting us. They've done a tremendous thing for us with a partnership through them this year. I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're doing in the healthcare IT space. So really quick, a little bit of information about athenahealth. The slide's a little out of date. We now have 45,000 providers on one multi-tenant SaaS cloud-based platform. Pretty standard fare in most industries. In healthcare, it's completely foreign. In healthcare, there's a lot of large on-premise software, big kind of server installs, antiquated standards that connect these things in a point-to-point fashion. And so we're trying to kick that up with a very new kind of open platform approach that's pushing through that More Disruption Please program that was mentioned. So beyond that, we have clients that range from one doctor. 30 to 40% of our base, depending on the day, is actually in that small doc range, which makes us very unique because that's where a lot of healthcare is delivered. So we're able to sell and scale our business completely remotely into that small area. We also have $50 million plus, 2,000 plus provider accounts that we're selling into. So it's all the way across the spectrum. 48 states, 76 specialties. We now do about $9 to $10 billion in collections a year. We get Forbes and all these other people say we're cool, which is always great. And we're now a $4 billion public company. Recently, some people in this room who kind of follow the healthcare space might have saw this. Hippocrates, which anyone who's got a student who's in med school or knows anyone that's in med school or a doctor, 90% brand awareness. We own that application now and are using that as a means to extend our footprint into the mobile space. A little bit of background on the company itself. So it started as a women's health clinic. As was mentioned, Todd Park, our federal CTO, huge Democrat. Our other co-founder is Jonathan Bush of the Bush family. So we've got the biggest Republican and the biggest Democrat families colliding to start a women's health clinic in San Diego. They quickly realized that it was very hard to get their bills paid on time. That was actually one of their biggest struggles to scale. So they brought in Todd's younger brother, Ed, built this AthenaNet platform, if you will. Went to go raise money for the health clinic, and the venture guys were like, what about that platform? Jonathan, being the savvy bullshit artist he is, quickly said, yeah, we're raising money for that too. This is great. So he raised a bunch of money, and it is now the company we know it today. So lie to venture firms is lesson number one. Beyond that, we now have 3,000 employees. We just bought the Arsenal Mall, which you can see over here, which is in Watertown, just outside of Boston. We're turning that into our own kind of campus to bring in small healthcare companies that I'm going to tell you about to incubate and help them grow in and around our base. Real quick, something very important about Athena, and just something to keep in the back of your mind as we're talking about our program. We take a percentage of net collections from our doctors, and that's actually really important to our business model. We aren't selling and licensing software like a lot of the other monolithic dinosaurs in our industry. We're actually aligning our incentives directly with the doctor's outcomes. So if we do anything to slow them down getting paid, or anything that reduces patient or provider outcomes, or puts inefficiencies like an electronic medical record into their lives, we're actually taking a bottom line hit along with the doctor. And so because of that, our vision and kind of mission is to help really act as the fiduciary for those doctors, to be that kind of barbarian at the gate to ensure that they have a high fidelity experience with their patient. And because of that, everything we do with our third-party software vendors and partners is connected in that kind of performance-oriented fabric. And I'll speak a little bit about that in the future. But just to be clear, we do not sell software. We sell services that are powered by software. So we in Maine, Belfast, Maine, have a mail processing facility that opens 30 tons of mail a day. And our goal and what we say publicly is we want to take the shit work that the doctor shouldn't be doing and get them in front of the patient actually where they should be spending their time. So we open mail, we change their fax number to us, we change their office line to us, and really want to just have them at that center of care focused on providing high quality care to a patient that needs it. So beyond that, when I arrived at Athena, I didn't have much of a healthcare background. As was mentioned, I'd sold two tech-related companies in the past, both cloud-based, data-oriented companies. And I showed up at Athena, and they had hit kind of critical mass with what I want to say product build mode. So the R&D resources were extremely strapped. They needed to offer more services than they ever could possibly push out via kind of their own internal processes. And they wanted to go to market with richer tools and realized that they didn't need to build everything. And so what I came in to do was using this concept, Joy's Law, which one of those co-founders of Sun Microsystems has espoused, is taking the smart individuals outside of your company and allowing them to come inside your company via an API platform, in our case, to do a lot of the things that we mentioned on the right. And I'll give you a little bit more color on that in slides to come. But it's really taking this 45,000 providers we have, which is the largest set of providers on any multi-tenant cloud environment in the healthcare space, and really allowing small, medium, and large companies to use us as a distribution platform to quickly scale a business to sell directly to those providers, so long as they're fulfilling that fiduciary obligation that I mentioned before. This is very different than what most healthcare entrepreneurs need to do, where they go Epic shop by Epic shop, which is one of the large on-premise software agents in this category. Think of them like an Oracle ERP or an SAP ERP system, Cerner, McKesson, others. You need to go interface with every single install at every single hospital. Pray to God they're on the right version and that the wind's blowing the right way and you brought the right sacrificial lamb. And if you've done all those things right, you might be granted access to the interface. And so what we're wanting to do is give them a single pipe via an API, a web service, to some of our core modules inside our own business and platform to allow them to build a product and scale that very quickly. And we're doing a lot of other things to help lower those barriers. I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. So at the top of our funnel, and I'll show you the funnel in the next slide, we have this concept called more disruption, please. And what we believe is that entrepreneurialism in healthcare is really stagnant. So the best and brightest talent shy away from the industry for a lot of reasons. HIPAA is a terrible, cumbersome thing to deal with and to understand. I mentioned the kind of connectivity landscape, funding sparse, and you're constantly dealing with extremely high complex things like people's lives or drugs that could knock you on your ass for a week. And so what we try to do is help to provide a support group for these young, innovative companies to really show them what they need to do to help scale inside this industry. And so part of that is opening up the platform. Another part of that is helping to drive revenue, sales, and channels activity. So we give them free access to our sales, account management, and product development teams to help them build out their company. And then finally, we're incubating them on site, actually on our campus in Watertown. So adding a little bit more color on that, and this is the kind of detailed slide that one of our PowerPoint jockeys put together. On the left-hand side, you can see at the top of the funnel is inside this More Disruption Please program, we now have 1,500 members. Those are primarily CEOs of early stage to late stage, big, large public companies even, in the healthcare space. We're using that kind of pool to really stay close to what's going on in the market. And I think this is kind of critical to our API strategy. My team on the business development side spends a lot of time interacting with the CEOs and the technical folks in those companies to keep abreast of what they're seeing in the market and how they're pushing the ball forward. This stage of the game is also about imagining the possible. So I mentioned that healthcare in particular is really wrought with a lot of antiquated, old connectivity. We want to help educate and show people that there is a better way. It's kind of one of our mottos, to actually expose web services and allow them to scale more robustly into our client base. So we use this really as a big awareness tool and platform. Beyond that, we go into due diligence mode. Very uniquely to my group at Athena, I actually have an R&D team that reports directly into the business development group, a product management team that reports directly into the business development group, and a product marketing team. And they're only focused on helping us to roll out capability areas that we deem important and partners inside those capability areas to fill key kind of product gaps or future areas that we want to take the product into new markets, et cetera. And so unlike most business development teams, we kind of throw something over the wall and hope it gets integrated. We actually see it through to delivery at the end of the day. And as a part of that, we've built a marketplace, which I'll show you in the next slide. In getting onto that marketplace, we have this integration engine where we're piloting, doing performance management, and helping these companies really understand, using the API as a connectivity means, what it means to meaningfully move a metric on the doctor's kind of own scorecard. So we measure our doctors on documentation time, schedule density. We teach them about working capital and accounts receivables and help them actively manage their kind of financial and clinical health. And for a partner to be on the marketplace that I'll show you on the next slide, they need to be doing one of those things as well. And so we want to tell our providers, and this is kind of where we come in as the curator of the marketplace and our connectivity platform, if something's on here, it's going to help you do your job better. It's going to help your patients be healthier, or it's going to help take work off your plate so you can get focused back on the patient experience. And so because of that, extremely unique to healthcare, we're charging 0 integration fee for any of the partners that are on here. The dirty secret, that's not so dirty of a secret, not so much of a secret, is if you're actually materially impacting those bottom line metrics for our doctors, you're driving money back to us. So we have a fortuitous cycle that we've created in this process, but we've totally obliterated the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 connectivity fees that a lot of our competitors charge to these small startups, and then again to the providers to install this software, which is really hampering the ability for a lot of small companies to scale in this space. So we blew that away. We're also guaranteeing a 3 to 5 day turnaround in time on this. So healthcare is a little bit different, and that's something I think that a lot of folks don't appreciate completely when they come in. Because we're dealing with people's lives, there's a lot of fidelity in the testing that needs to go on with the interfaces and how we're building them out. So even when the web service is lit up, we still need to do a decent amount of testing to ensure the data is completely passing a high fidelity way before clinical decisions are made on that. And finally, we're actually driving more revenue to our doctors through this. So some of the companies, especially the first two you can see over there, 5 O'Clock Records and ChartSwap, are great examples of companies that are just putting more dollars into our providers' pockets. So they'll take a chart, put it up on the web, and a third party like a lawyer or another hospital can go buy that chart off of a marketplace rather than just calling the front desk staff and getting it for free. So they're driving $10,000 to $20,000 per provider per year straight to our doctor's bottom line. One other thing I should mention on here, in the short term, we're doing 0 rev share with any of these partners. So long as they're moving a metric materially for our doctors, beyond just the free connectivity, we're not charging them anything to come play in our marketplace. That's one of the benefits of our business model. We liken ourselves more to Amazon.com, where you pay only when you receive something, versus Salesforce.com, where you actually pay just to rent a space on the same multi-tenant environment. So this is a little bit of a technical slide, but I thought it would be useful for you guys to kind of see the landscape. So we want to shift really Athena towards this concept of a platform as a service, and I'll show you guys what that means in a second with some unbelievable PowerPoint wizardry on this slide. Up at the top, though, really is kind of the healthcare landscape to date. So you might have a mobile charge capture device. That's where you plug in the incident code that gets sent back to the payer. A lab, send off your lab requests or radiology, et cetera. You've got the inpatient space, you've got an imaging system, you have something that keeps the doctor's schedule, all of these different things. And for them to get to the doctor right now, including Athena, so we have tons of point-to-point interfaces. We're by no means like the golden child. We're just moving the ball forward now. We want to do away with the blue boxes completely over time. Global interfaces are still necessary. This is using antiquated language, but putting a standard set kind of around those. And finally, building out APIs to allow one provider to connect to many people at once. And really blowing that API strategy up involves this platform as a service layer where we expose kind of core services or jobs, works to be done inside Athena. So ordering, scheduling, eligibility. So ordering is just the ability to place a doctor to place an order or referral out to another third party. Scheduling controls the actual doctor's schedule or resources inside the environment. And eligibility is checking with insurance companies. These are things that we consume as work inside our products constantly, but we should be dishing that out for consumption to our partners as well so they can build brighter, better applications going forward. Beyond that, we also want to act as the identity management engine, so the concept of an entity inside our platform as a service. And if you look up here at top, the kind of business strategy that's changing as a result of this, the furthest two products are actually two of our products that plug in and consume these services out of this kind of backbone layer. And so we really want to serve up our web services and our APIs in a public and private manner. So build it for private consumption internally to drive innovation and to drive our teams using more streamlined connectivity, but then exposing core pieces of that to the public in a curated way when we think they can actually drive innovation in and around our platform as well. So very quick, just our roadmap, and just so you can see how we've kind of interacted with Mastery to date with great success. And I'll give you some anecdotal evidence of some of the business success we've driven in through this. We started really in January, our exploratory phase. We went through diligence on a bunch of different vendors, settled on Mastery a few days before they sold to Intel, which I'm sure was great for Warren and company. Beyond there, we launched our marketplace, so the site that you saw that is actually up where you can click to request things using an API connection directly from Athena. So that's up and live now. And now we're tackling capability areas. And for us on the business side, this was an easy way for us to kind of bucket work that needed to be done again. So we looked at areas that our product was falling short, or areas that we saw, because we measure all kinds of things with our doctors, that we weren't making a material impact on. We chose to expose those areas to allow third parties to come in and try to drive the ball forward. And now what we're doing, and I'll use scheduling as an example, which I believe is the next slide. What we're doing with scheduling is a great example. We don't have a huge consumer base. We are a B2B company. We sell software to providers. We act as a provider's fiduciary. Companies like iTriage, which hopefully someone has heard of, Vitals, ZocDoc, you name it. They aggregate big consumer bases and help drive patient appointment volume to doctors. We're not going to get in that business. We'll never get in that business. What we've done is consolidate our doctor scheduling and expose that as a web service so all of these third parties can consume that in real time and our own products. So if Dr. Armbrester has an appointment up at 10 o'clock and that gets grabbed by iTriage, it disappears in real time, not batch overnight via an SFTP file on some server on the other side of the world. It happens in real time. And in doing so, we've seen scheduling density increase for our providers. So this is something moving a material metric for us. We get a certain amount of dollars for every appointment that's booked. And if they're able to help our doctors fill their calendars more fully, drive down no-show rates, or decrease schedule variability, we're able to do cool and innovative things with them. So we're now at the stage we're actually evaluating promoting partners because it's worth us to put $1 million behind one of these small startups if we see them driving enough material revenue to us at our bottom line. So again, it's this kind of fortuitous cycle. Beyond that, and just as an example of some of the outreach that Mastery in particular has helped us do, we've built a good presence. We're in Boston, so we've got Harvard, MIT, and a bunch of smart folks around us at Tufts and BU, et cetera. We've exposed this API to engineers just at large, brought them in, had them look at it. A group of data scientists at MIT who are specialists at airline seating algorithms got a hold of this. So they know I'm always 5 minutes late to a flight. My wife's always 2.5 hours early. My mother-in-law never makes it on time, ever. They have a biographic profile, a demographic profile rather, and a psychographic profile that they help build out with airline companies to help them overbook seats. Magazine subscriptions, head of household, how many children, how far do you live, do you own your own car, are you relying on public transportation, do you have a public transportation card, how frequently do you fill it, all kinds of stuff, right? They've taken our scheduling API and applied that in the pediatric space in particular now, and more broadly are looking to expand that beyond to PCPs. They're going in and looking at patient appointments and helping to creatively overbook appointment slots to drive in schedule density for providers. So typically if a single mother with 3 kids who had no car, who lived 50 miles away, would book an appointment, the scheduler might book her an appointment at 8 in the morning. Totally unreasonable for her to get there at any time if the public transportation opens at 7 a.m. What this algorithm's now doing is creatively suggesting appointment slots too that they think can be filled at a higher fidelity, and it's actually showing results. So they're actually piloting this at one of our large clients in Boston. Schedule variability has gone down, no-show rates have gone down, and schedule density has gone up. Something I have no idea about airline black box seating, but something that we're able to expose and really drive innovation into our platform by letting these third parties come in and do some creative stuff with us. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, the company's name is Smart Scheduling, and there's a really nice Wired article about what they did with us collaboratively. So some of my key takeaways, I think that building out a robust connectivity platform is important. I think doing it in an open way is the quickest way to actually achieve scale. So a lot of our competitors and a lot of individuals in other spaces have an API strategy. It's actually not a means to expose themselves. It's a means to put control actually in and around their system. And once you're addicted to the crack, you have to use the crack, and you keep coming back for the crack. Our goal is to expose these things so entrepreneurs can learn from it, build scale, and then go partner with our providers after they've actually achieved scale. My biggest fear is that a strategy of going point to point is not going to be something that allows a small company to actually scale and push innovation in healthcare. And so we want to give them that first leg up. We're by no means going to displace all of the kind of monolithic dinosaur systems that are out there. But we believe our open strategy is going to give them a fighting chance to actually achieve scale and grow more quickly. Beyond that, I could just kind of mention the second point, but we believe drawing in kind of entrepreneurial talent, the best engineers, artists, and graphic designers, usability experts, web developers, et cetera, into healthcare is going to require a platform like this for them to grow and be nurtured. A lot of this exists in the social media space, even in the financial services space, and so we're really trying to bring that culture. We're not rocket scientists. We've seen this work in other areas. We're just trying to bring that culture and hard work and kind of ethic into the healthcare space now. Beyond that, we've we believe in a performance-oriented culture and a performance-oriented business model. And so ignoring healthcare alone, I think putting a performance-oriented mindset behind the partners you bring into a platform like this helps you and that partner achieve mutual success. And if you have the golden triangle, the customer also wins at the end of the day. Our providers get more money, we get more money, the partner gets money. Everybody kind of wins in the equation. And beyond that, I think this is really removing a lot of our own cost burdens. Those point-to-point interfaces require an extreme amount of human capital on our side to keep up and consume. It's impossible for us to scale. If you guys have ever read the Mythical Man Month, we're at that position, right? Throwing more bodies on it is not going to actually help the problem. It's an overwhelming problem. And so we've been able to sunset a lot of our interface costs, a lot of our customer report work, and some of our data warehouse feeds using our APIs. So our cost structure is going down while revenue and kind of connectivity is going up. So thank you again for being here.